In this short video, I am going to introduce the plotting module, Matpolotlib, and specifically the pyplot module within Matpolotlib. And we are going to import Matpolotlib.pyplot as PLT. So that's going to be the alias that we use whenever we want to use any method or function within the pyplot module. We are going to also write this command in order to display all figures or plots in line. This happens by default in the newer versions of Jupyter Notebook, but you may want to use it if you have an older version. Now let's consider the following example. So we would like to create two vectors, x and y, and we would like to plot y versus x. So x is going to contain numbers from 0 to 3 pi with a step of 0.1, and y is going to be the sine of x. And then we are going to plot y versus x. So x, what we can use in order to create numbers from 0 to 3 pi is the a range function in NumPy. So np.a_range. Before I do that, I need to make sure that I have imported NumPy. So let me import NumPy as np. And now the np.a_range, let's see what it does. It takes a start, which is 0. It takes a stop, which is 3 times pi. So the stop is 3 times pi. Pi is np.pi. And then it takes a step, which is optional, but here we want it to be 0.1. Just remember that the stop, which is 3 pi, is not really included in the list, but for this example, it doesn't really matter. Now, y is going to be np.sine x. And in order to plot these points, you will use plt.plot x comma y. So x is on the x-axis and y is on the y-axis. And this is what we get. Now, in order to remove this writing over here, in order that we could do a semicolon, and you'll get it without, you'll suppress the writing that was there. Now, let's say that I've created two functions, y sine and y cosine, and I'd like to plot them on the same graph. In order to do that, I will plot, but I have to use plt.plot. So plt.plot of x comma y sine, that's the first graph. And then the second graph, plt.plot x comma y cosine. And these graphs, or the two graphs, are going to be plotted on top of each other. Now, again, to suppress the writing, I could do this. And if you are confused which one is which, one way to resolve that is to create a legend. So you could create plt.legend. And a legend is going to be enclosed in square brackets. And one of them is sine and the other one is cosine. So one is sine, the first one is sine, and the second one is cosine. And we get this legend over here. Now, subplots, let's say that you wanted these two plots to be next to each other or on top of each other, but in two different subgraphs. One way to do that is to construct a subplot environment. To create a subplot environment, first of all, you will use the plt.subplot. And let's say that in this environment, it's going to have a height of 2 and the width of 1. So it's going to be 2, 1. And this is the first subplot. Okay, so the first subplot is active. And in this subplot, we're going to use plt.plot x and sine x. X and sine x, yes, x comma sine x, which was y sine. The second subplot, I will just copy this command right here. And it is the second subplot. So I have 2 over here. And what I will plot is similar to that, but y cosine. Let's see what we get. In fact, we get the two graphs over here. Now, sometimes it depends on the Jupyter Notebook environment that you have. Sometimes you have to actually write plt.show in order to show the graphs. So this is going to be it for the Matplotlib video. The next video is going to be on pandas. I'm going to give you an introduction to pandas. So I will see you there in a bit.